0-0.
Welcome back. We're watching the top-seeded defending champion, Munoz Chavez, and partner Vince Munoz taking on Eddie Silveyra and Eddie Chapa. Eddie Silveyra, the only of the great Silveyra brothers, entered in this event, Dave.
0-0.
He's proven to be a great doubles player here. He's playing the right side. A little bit off balance there. It's funny, Dave, you can see a lot of the mannerisms in Eddie Silveyra that you saw in Tati and also brother David. You'd have to go a long way back, Dave, to find a match that Munoz Chavez and Vince Munoz lost in four-wall as a doubles team. I know you're already searching for it.
It was at the Nationals in 2009.
1-0.
On these courts.
Short ball.
Okay. You see the players already rubbing their feet on the floor, Dave. It's a strange kind of situation, Dave, because it's sticky yet also slippery, if that makes sense. There's certain parts that are really grip your shoes, and then other parts where your shoes just give way.
And you said they redid the surface of the floor, so.
Well, this court was actually closed, Dave, on Wednesday when I came here for a crack.
Short ball.
A crack, Dave, is for our Irish fans. That's a hit around.
Second serve.
Not what Lindsay Lohan would do out on the streets of Hollywood. Obscure pop culture reference there that was way over your head, even though you're 6'7".
Actually, I understood that reference, but the other one about crack, the obscure Irish reference, you said it out of context. That does not mean to go down to the court and hit a ball. That would be called a tip around. Crack is to have fun, or something that is funny.
Okay.
You got your obscure Irish references mixed up. Now the
But
Lindsay
I had
Lohan thing.
I had the pop culture nailed, though.
Well, no, she's just down the street from us here, and she got sent to jail yesterday. So
Actually, she'll be in rehab until January 3rd.
that's jail for some people.
Well, I think you'd rather be in that Four Seasons rehab facility than jail.
She's actually at the Betty Ford Clinic. Nice
That's
try.
true. She's run out of money to pay for it, though, but just like everyone, she'll borrow money and never pay it back. That's the American way.
2-2.
Score is 2-2 first game. That's Eddie Chapa serving.
Short ball.
Eddie Chapa's a big boy.
He's retaining a little weight in the midsection. Eddie Chapa regarded as one of the great three-wall doubles players in the history of the sport, Dave. He's got an amazing overhand drive on the three-wall course. He spends a lot of time out at Venice Beach. You know, it's amazing, Dave, with Munoz. He just always puts forth the exact amount of effort he needs to win a match. It's always so smooth. He hits one of the greatest kill shots in the sport. The ball just rolls. Munoz doesn't look all that comfortable in there right now, Dave. The score is 3-3. You can hear that power from Eddie Chapa. There's a miss hit from Vince Munoz, who's wearing the all black, playing the right side with partner Munoz Chavez. You see Munoz stepping in to take that Z-serve out of the air, Dave. Tried to tomahawk kill that ball, and it stayed up, and Eddie Chapa re-killed it. Vince with some of that great power. Vince is in his 40s now, Dave, and he's showing he still has some pop. And there's another air there from Munoz.
6-2.
It is Marcos. There's a great young player in Chicago, Dave, named Margot Lemus. Could be a little bit of confusion for us. We've seen him on the webcast. His brother is watching in. He's actually part of our production team, Dave. Integral part. Couldn't make it this week, but we want to say hello to him. Look forward to seeing him in Minnesota just in 2 weeks. He'll be quarterbacking that coverage.
He's actually at home right now, or on the road watching the live webcast. Got a text message from him.
They might need a quarterback in Minnesota about that time of the season. The way things are going with the elbow and the sexting.
Second serve.
He'll be our quarterback, though, that weekend.
Eddie Silveyra is the player serving the ball. That's Eddie Chapa with the lighter gray shirt there versus Vincent Marcos. You were talking about at the pregame here when was the last time that these guys have lost a doubles match? But it was actually on these courts in 2009 when Sean Linning and Luis Moreno got Marcos and Vince in the semifinals.
I'm actually surprised by that result, Dave. Sean and Luis do not play well together.
It was 11-9 breaker.
Okay.
The first game, though, Sean and Luis won 21-3. Are you surprised about that?
I'm surprised Sean and Luis won that match. Let's leave it at that. You see players making a lot more of an effort to get out of the way here, Dave, than we saw in the previous match.
There's that smooth kill
Already
shot.
We've seen no hinder calls. The last match we couldn't go 10 shots without a hinder and an argument.
6-2 is the score here.
Didn't look like that ball was going to make it. Marcos just immediately walking back. I don't think Marcos really saw it, but that ball looked like it was headed straight for the sidewall and the floor.
6-2.
Here's a great angle here, this serve.
2 serves.
That ball hitting Eddie Silveyra.
Is the referee Nelson Quintero?
I believe it is.
Oh, okay.
6-2.
You say that with a disapproving tone.
I just think if things get sticky later on here, that might come into play.
2 serves 6.
Nelson gets the reffing duties on the early and late matches so that the real refs could go out and eat lunch and have dinner.
Well, it also helps, Dave, that he gets here at 6 a.m. and puts his name on the list.
That was a nice get right there from Vince Munoz. And then Munoz Chavez closes it out with that underhand power paddle.
3-6.
It's a huge setup. And a nice get right there from Eddie Silveyra. The crowd obviously likes Team Eddie.
This could be a local California weekend tournament, Dave. All 4 of these players reside in Southern California. And there's Marcos. Looked like he was going to hit that ball down the left, and at the last second, flick that ball into the right corner.
Munoz Chavez runs a family-owned business, and Eddie Chapa used to work at that business. Not sure if he's still there or not.
I think Vince Munoz still does work there.
Wow. So all 4 of these guys, they all work there at the family's business, you think?
Not sure about what Eddie Silveyra does.
Okay.
I know Eddie Silveyra just made a pretty easy air there. And that's really what Marcos brings to the table, Dave, is that tremendous fly kill. We don't see much of that, or haven't seen much of that thus far today in the doubles.
Slide.
That's a ball that we didn't pick up on our cameras, but that ball slid down the left side wall. Our referee
6-6.
from Miami, we think, Nelson Quintero.
At least that's what he's told us.
7-6.
So we never really know.
Screen. 7-6. Screen serve. Screen serve.
Eddie Silveyra struggling right now off the back wall. He floored an easy setup at 4-6, and now he's missed consecutive back wall shots off the back wall. And you see Davies just not making a fluid swing off the back wall there. That's what we saw Chris Watkins struggling with late in that match, particularly in the tiebreaker. Marcos just barely misses that setup with his left hand. Marcos, Dave, one of those guys that's able to end rallies off his back foot. We haven't seen Marcos play much singles in the last few years, Dave. He was a staple on the Pro Tour for a number of years in the late 90s and early 2000s. Actually has a win over Dave Chapman. We saw Marcos play in the Concord Pro Stop in 2009, narrowly losing to Emmett there. And also he played in the Fireball Classic last year and this year, Dave, in Tucson, losing 2 close games to Alan Garner.
Short ball. Second serve.
Would have been a great shot there from Marcos. Unfortunately, that ball comes up short.
Short ball.
A lot of power on that serve from Eddie Silveyra. We'll see if we can get that on-court camera angle after this return of serve. Nice exchange there. Here's a great angle here from the front wall. You can see just how much pop that ball has on it. That's where carrying those extra LBs there, Dave, really affects Eddie Chapa. He didn't have the burst to move forward for that ball and actually ended up reaching for that ball rather than getting himself in a better position with his feet, put it in the floor. Now Marcos will take that ball back up to the ceiling. Marcos really has that all-around game, Dave, and there's Vince Munoz skipping that ball. Looked like the Vince Munoz of old, Dave, getting down low, but just barely misses that shot. Here's a big setup. Now it'll be Vince on the left side of the court. Actually, Marco's telling me, Dave, a couple of years ago that he and Vince prefer to play front and back, not left and right. He told me left and right is old man doubles.
They play the I formation. In fact, if you just watch them cruise around the court during a long rally, you see that they're both playing the game of singles with one player playing up front and one playing behind. That means a lot more running.
You really have to be able to cover each other's backs playing front and back, Dave.
Vince is actually on the right side, but he's on the back of the I formation. Sometimes they flip around.
Almost like a quarterback and a receiver that have that great chemistry. They've been playing together so long, they can read the blitz and the receiver knows when to break off his route.
Give me another time.
We have a quick timeout here to wipe the court here. You almost expected this match, Dave, to be a tune-up for the defending champions, Vince Munoz and Munoz Chavez. Team Eddie thus far pushing the defending champions. I expected sort of a 12-10 type of result here, Dave. Still within the realm.
Score is 8-8.
Nice kill there off the back wall for Eddie Chapa.
8 serves 8.
Marcos goes to his power serve. You see Marcos use that sort of soft in-between lob power serve quite a bit. Let's not forget, Dave, Vince Munoz is north of 40. He's not playing nearly as much as he did throughout his late teens, 20s, and 30s, where he was a staple in the top 5 on the Pro Tour. Actually a former 4-wall national champion. Many people know about his prolific 3-wall career, won 10 consecutive 3-wall national championships. Actually retiring on top. Won his last 3-wall nationals and rode off into the sunset.
8 serves 8. Two serves.
We see a little strategy talk there between the Eddies.
8 serves 8.
Interesting, Dave. You see a lot of players play the right when their partner's serving, even if they're a left side player. Eddie Chapa stays on that left side when Eddie Silveyra serves.
8 serves 8.
I think that's a bit of a disadvantage. A lot of times it's hard to get off that left side wall, Dave, when your partner's serving and you stay on that left. Great corner kill there from Eddie Chapa. Eddie Chapa's got a lot of experience. I played him when we were 15 years old, Dave, in Minnesota.
I actually played against Team Eddie in Modesto about 4 years ago and won 11-10 in the breakers. My doubles partner was Ryan Grosenbacher. Might have been 2004. That's 6 years ago. Time flies.
8 serves 10.
8 serves 10. First game, 2-21. Tiebreaker 11.
Strange swing there from Eddie Silveyra.
9-10.
Nice corner kill there from Eddie. Tony Wante years ago saying that it was Eddie Silveyra he thought had the most potential of any of the Silveyras.
Short ball. Second serve.
And he's a good kid too.
Team Eddie will not be intimidated here in this match, Dave. They're used to playing against Munoz Chavez and Vince Munoz.
10-9.
That was an air half out there. That ball skips.
9-10.
Dave, Marcos and Vince just love to play together. You can see it, particularly when they
check the ball.
When they hold that trophy, they just have a great connection.
Isn't that an avoidable hinder right there? I mean, I know he has no place to go, but and you know that connection that you're talking about really comes from the passion that Munoz Chavez has. He said that he went down to the courts, and Vince Munoz was the king down at the courts, the 3-wall courts. He said he was his idol and still is. He said when he first asked me to play doubles with him at a big tournament, he said that was the greatest feeling I ever had in my life.
Actually, Marcos hadn't played much as a junior, Dave. He played a little bit with his brother and his dad, but was never real serious about the game. Went down to the club, and Vince said, hey, let me take you under my wing here. And a couple years later, it was Marcos in the top 6 in the world on the Pro Tour. It's just an example, Dave, of handball creating that lifetime bond. We don't have it between the two of us, but
no,
it happens for some people.
Right.
I feel like right now, Dave, as far as the webcasting goes, I'm playing the left side and we're in the I formation. And you just sort of mailed it in, just sort of standing in that right corner. You're busy on Friend Finder and your other favorite social networks. I'm getting a little bit tired, I won't lie.
I'm just in cruise control.
10-9.
Sometimes it's best not to say anything. That's been my last 5.5 hours.
Great kill there from Eddie Silveyra. He goes down on both knees there. Kills that ball into the left corner.
We're not seeing the ball slide as much, oddly, on this match as you saw on the other one. Maybe that's due to the guys are all not, you know, they're not sweated up. Maybe they're just not hitting the right part of the wall. We just haven't seen it much here. The last game was like they were swimming out there.
We haven't seen the long rallies thus far, Dave, that we saw in the previous match. A lot of those rallies in the previous match, over 30 hits. These rallies have been primarily under 10. We've seen a lot of errors thus far in this match, Dave. We've seen some great kills, but also some strange errors. And you know, Dave, basically we've got 4 shooters in the court right now. The last match we saw, we had 4 veterans that like to keep the ball in play and really wait for the perfect opportunity. These guys will shoot at the slightest opening. You see Vince follows that natural hop across his body and hits that hard 2-wall pass right into Eddie Chapa's body. That's a replay. That's consecutive balls that hit Vince Munoz in the back on the return of serve. The only person that didn't check the ball was Munoz Chavez. You know, Dave, we talk about what a gentleman's sport handball is, but if that's true, which it is, why do you have to check the ball after it hits your opponent in the back? Wouldn't you just wipe the ball yourself and then serve it? I mean, if you're calling your own double bounces. And
is this things that you think about in your off time, Mr. Fink?
Yes. There's worse thoughts a person can have.
And you've had them. Score is 11-11. This game is already 3 hours long, and we're all tied at 11.
Second serve.
Time doesn't fly when you're watching mistake-prone doubles. Eddie Silveyra takes that back wall shot to the ceiling. Here's a setup for Eddie Silveyra. Incredible action here, Dave, in the front court. This is the best rally of the match. A beautiful 2-wall shot that Eddie Chapa just picks up. Unbelievable.
Does Chapa make that to the front wall? He does. Unbelievable. The crowd goes wild. That was amazing, Dave. That was like a double reverse back axle from Eddie Eddie Silveyra.
11 serves, 11.
That was more than clamoring that we heard from the packed gallery here.
11. You got 2 points? Did they get 2 points?
No, it's been tied at 11, Chapa, for the last 3 hours. Aren't you listening? Eddie Silveyra tried to go behind his back, and he did this sort of Emmett Pachot twist.
That's a half out.
For the first time in a long time, Nelson's actually right here.
It's 11 all.
Breaking a streak of about 11 years.
I'm not sure how you would know.
Well, it seems that he's reffing all the matches where the players get angry. They're the ones I remember.
Marcos drives that ball into the ground. Not a good swing there from Marcos. We'll see, Dave, if Eddie Chapa can get himself off this left wall following the return of serve. That's really the challenge.
In the old days, Eddie Chapa was one of the players that hit the ball as hard as anybody in handball.
How do you measure that, Dave? Have you had a radar gun on everybody that played the sport? Didn't think so. That was a replay. It's 11 all. Finally able to quiet you down.
I saw that slide too.
That ball was bouncing around the court like a Super Ball.
But it doesn't help that Eddie Chapa is leaning against that wall over there, and his shirt is completely wet.
Actually, you're obligated, Dave, as the server's partner to have your back against the wall. And I've seen Joe Cox, who's arguably the worst referee that's ever lived, call a side out because the partner of the server was not with his back to the wall.
Huh.
That's also the same guy that called a 10-second violation at 10-10 in the national finals when the server waited 10.5 seconds to serve the ball.
Oh, you know, people that call 10-second rules must be crazy. Wait.
Munoz Chavez and Vince Munoz play out of the Los Angeles Athletic Club, Dave. That was the home of the great Jimmy Jacobs for many years. Now it's the home to one of the great doubles teams in the world.
Serves 11. Skate ball.
Dave, we're both getting so many text messages and emails here from people that are really enjoying this webcast. I guess you'd call that blowing up. We're both blowing up here, Dave.
Oh, my phone is.
That's one of your social networks, as is mine. Just got a message, Dave, from my protege in Pittsburgh, Joe Del Sardo, former Division I college wide receiver standout. He's enjoying the action. Dave, Joe's one of those sort of top-level open players that's right on the fringe of sort of breaking through and qualifying. The WPH is holding the Minnesota Pro Stop. There's a qualifier the day before the event, I believe, Dave, and that's a great opportunity for players like Joe and other players like a Tony Krokak and even a Nelson Quintero to try and come in there and qualify and earn a spot in a Pro Stop. That's on November 4th to the 7th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We heard some commotion there from the gallery and also the players. That's kind of the best way to win a point there. You really didn't have to do anything. Eddie Chapa making that air up against the back wall.
That ball hit Marcos, right?
believe it did. Our referee doesn't necessarily make all the calls. He leaves a lot to be assumed. For those of us watching here, Dave, it's hard for us to tell if that ball hit the server's partner or not. We just guess.
Score is 11 serves 13.
Great corner kill there from Marcos. Drills that ball into the left corner with his left hand. Believe it or not, Dave, we haven't seen Vince Munoz execute one kill here thus far in this first game. Vince is one of the great offensive players in the sport, in the history of the sport. Sometimes it's tough, Dave, on the right side to find that rhythm. You're only hitting about 20 or 25% of the balls, and as you know, Dave, if you get off to a little bit of a bad start, it's hard to get yourself into that rhythm.
12-13.
Very strange refereeing here, Dave. It's really Eddie Chapa who's dictating all these hinder calls. He's hitting a shot, he realizes it's a big setup, he looks up and our referee just stops play. I just don't understand it. But you know, you told us that the real referees are at dinner, so I guess that explains a little bit.
Thank you.
Not sure I understand the obligatory thank you from the referee every time a player calls a double bounce. It's not necessary.
13 all.
Much like the I'm sorry's that you hear a lot of referees say.
The score is tied at 13. Yeah, it goes back to that. It goes back to that statement you made earlier about this is a gentleman's game. The referee shouldn't have to say thank you if it's a correct call.
The referee shouldn't have to say anything besides replay, short, second serve, and the score. What left is there to say?
Well, when Dan Armijo was reffing earlier today, he was congratulating players on balls where they're diving and getting them and good plays and rallying the troops. And
15-13.
He can also be heard karaokeing on the referee's microphone. Nice get there from Eddie Silveyra. Big setup here. And Marcos knows what to do with that. Knowing that he's so close to the front wall, he just drives that ball right at Eddie Silveyra's feet. That's a lot of force hitting the back wall there, Dave. Eddie Chapa crashes into that back wall, and that thing is still shaking, and then Eddie Chapa misses that simple
17 serves 13.
right-handed kill shot attempt.
Down ball.
That's a terrible call, one of the worst. That ball didn't bounce twice until it got to the back wall, Dave, and Nelson calling that ball down, inexplicable.
I think you could have got it. You want me to run it and hurt him? I could do that.
Just a horrendous call there, Dave.
18 serves 13.
Score is 18-13.
And now quickly, Dave, it's become pretty much what we expected.
That ball slid right there. Did he just call a slide ball on that?
Came off the back wall.
It only came off the back wall
Because
because
it
it slid, but the ball was already out of play.
Timeout.
There was no chance at either Eddie getting a hand on that ball.
That was a good call.
You never hear Vince talk to referees ever. That is close enough for an interview that we've been trying to get from Vince Munoz for a long time. I mean, he doesn't even talk when the microphone is present. That was probably one of the worst referee calls I think I've ever seen.
Well,
in my life.
maybe you weren't watching the play before that, which actually was the worst.
Okay.
A ball that was hit about a foot high, literally 6 inches from Munoz Chavez's leg, with Eddie Chapa standing directly behind him. Nelson saying that the ball was down, but the ball didn't bounce twice until it hit the back wall. So I don't know how that's down.
Well, that last one there, he said that's a replay because it slid, which it did slide, by the way. But that's the shot that guys like Fred Lewis teach their kids. They clip that side wall. That was one of the best shots we've seen of the whole tournament, in a perfect position around Team Eddie. And then Nelson said, well, it came off the back wall. Well, that's the whole reason why it came off the back wall, is because it slid. The rationale is incredible.
We see Mark Shelgren not bothering with the towel here. He's just taking care of the entire floor, all 40 feet of it. Nice fist to the ceiling there from Eddie.
Score is now 19-13. This is game point. Vince Munoz serving. Nice shot right there from Eddie Chapa. Eddie Chapa is a local celebrity here. They love him in this building.
20-13.
Score now 20-13.
Short ball. Second serve.
And there it is, the end of game one. We have game two coming up right around the corner for Jeff Castor and David Fink. My name is Dave Vincent. We'll be back. You stick close. NiftyTV.com and WPHLive.tv.
0-0.
And we are back.
Second.
Game 2, the men's quarterfinal pro doubles action. Munoz Chavez and partner Vince Munoz taking game 1, 21-13. Saw Marcos between games. Said that game was
1-0.
ugly. Those were his words. Vince Munoz starting this game 2 with a beautiful kill.
Side out.
Vince shoots that ball from the deep court with his left hand. It looked like he had the second point of the game, but Eddie Chapa re-kills that ball.
0-1.
Beautiful back wall kill there from Marcos. This is the first match of this event for
0-1.
Munoz Chavez and Vince Munoz, just
2 serves.
getting their bearings here in this event. We couldn't see that from the front wall camera, but that hit partner Eddie Silveyra. It was a replay. Vince Munoz takes that ball back up to the ceiling and forces the air there from Eddie Chapa. That ball came straight down the left side wall.
1-0.
1 serving 0 here. That's a big back wall setup, and Eddie Silveyra takes care of that. Flat kill off the back wall. Beautiful shot. Now it's the
1-0.
second server. Score still 1-0. That barely grazed Marcos in the head.
1-0.
Don't really understand that serve there from Marcos. Appeared to be a big setup. You see that beautiful touch finesse shot there from Marcos as she came around the outside of that ball there. Used the spin from the right side wall and took the ball straight down the left wall. And now Marcos really starting to feel it. Keying in on those corners.
3-0.
Tough shot there for Marcos. That ball didn't slide, but it had a strange spin on it.
0-3.
Ball ran down the right side wall, and Marcos misplayed it just enough to force the air. Beautiful fist left corner kill there from Marcos.
0-3.
Eddie Silveyra flopped in, but unable to keep the rally alive. Great kill there from Eddie Chapa. Vince looked like he hit a great drive there, but
1-3.
that ball came off the back wall. That's one of the best shots we've seen so far in this event. Silky smooth 37-foot flat
3-1.
kill from Marcos. Vince takes that ball and shoots it with his left. That's where that extra weight really limits Eddie Chapa.
4-1.
That ball sat up, but Eddie just did not have the burst to get to that ball. Vince now starting to shoot the ball from everywhere on the court. Shot that ball with his left hand with both Eddies
4-1.
right at the short line.
Skid ball.
That ball slides on the right side wall. That's seems like the wall that's the most wet. That's the wall that's actually closest to the outside. The way this court is configured. The other side of the right wall is the actual outside of the facility. So it would stand to reason that that wall would be the most damp. Marcos, with a little bit of showtime there, goes behind the back.
1-4.
A couple of strange mishits there. Vince with a mishit return of serve, and Eddie sliding in on one knee, ending the rally.
Hold it, hold it, hold it. The floor is too wet up there.
Interesting call there from our referee. Surprised the players didn't wipe the floor after the previous rally when Eddie Silveyra went down on a knee and slid about 6 feet across the court. A lot of fans watching at home don't understand the necessity of wiping the floor. They think it's just sort of a stall tactic, but it really isn't. It's done for the safety of the players. There's been a number of injuries throughout the years, players sliding on those wet spots that haven't been dried. Great fly kill there from Marcos. Knew Eddie Silveyra was over there against the left side wall, but drilled that ball right on him with a big natural hop. Marcos takes that Z serve to the ceiling, overhits it, as does Eddie Chapa, and then Marcos makes no mistake with that back wall setup. Scoops that ball straight down the right side wall. Level of play is definitely improved here early in this second game. Majority of these rallies ending with great deep court kills and fly kills. Marcos hits that deep left side wall crack.
5-2.
Eddie Chapa unable to return it. Interestingly, many of the serves coming well off the back wall, almost as though these guys are intending for those serves to come off the back wall. That time, Marcos serves the short left wall crack, gets the setup and puts it away. Vince caught on his heels there. It was a low percentage return there from Team Eddie, but
2-6.
that corner kill worked out. Now it's Eddie Silveyra serving. First server, trailing 2-6.
Skid ball.
That ball did slide. I don't know if Marcos had a play on it. That ball hit the side wall about an inch high. Don't know if that ball would have come up had it not slid. Great doubles action there in the front court. Eddie sliding down to one knee, and then Eddie Chapa, great corner kill there from the deep left corner into the right corner.
3-6.
Team Eddie definitely in this match. Actually led in that first game 12-10 before falling to a late 11-1 game-ending rally from Vince Munoz and Munoz Chavez. This is game 2, the men's quarterfinal action here. This is top-seeded Vince Munoz and Munoz Chavez. They've won this event every time it's been held, 2006, 2007, and 2008. They're the defending champions, 3-time defending champions.
What happened?
Our referee was the only person in the building that didn't see that ball slide. Some great upper body strength there to take that ball coming across his body with his left hand and shoot that ball into the right corner. Marcos with a little bit too much junk time there. That was a backhanded fist. You can hear how wet that floor is right now. Eddie Silveyra sliding all the way across that short line. Surprised we don't see these players come in and wipe that floor in the service box. Great hands there from Marcos. Not sure what Eddie's asking for here. He was on the left of Marcos, and Marcos hit that ball to his left.
7-4.
Marcos takes that ball up to the ceiling. Awkward looking swing there from Eddie Chapa off the back wall with his left hand. Looked like a good swing there. It looked like Marcos might have stepped a little bit too soon there and held back his swing. His timing was a little bit off, and he skips that ball.
4-7.
Scores 4-7. Munoz Chavez and Vince Munoz winning that first game. Now with a lead here in the second game, and there's an error from Eddie Chapa. That's a tough shot when you're pinned in that left corner. That's the first time out for Eddie Silveyra and Eddie Chapa. You see Munoz Chavez and Vince Munoz staying in the court here. They'll talk a little bit of strategy. These guys communicate so well. It's what's made them such a great doubles team. The timeouts are 60 seconds. Both teams given 3 one-minute timeouts per game. Silveyra comes from one of the great handball families in the world. Brother Toddy Silveyra winning several four-wall national singles championships. His brother David making it as high as #2 on the Pro Tour. It's also a family affair for Munoz Chavez. His brother Carlos is a pro player as well. Qualified here at the Los Caballeros Sports Village last April in the USHA Pro Qualifier. Played in his first pro stop in Detroit. Also played in the pro singles here, losing in the round of 32. He's a frequent sparring partner of Marcos. Marcos also spars with the great young Armando Ortiz, who's returning to action after some health problems earlier this year. It's great to see him back. We see these tournament organizers and tournament volunteers just working relentlessly on trying to provide the best possible court conditions for our pro players.
I hear it over there.
Bill Mihilos and Dane Statkowski are in a tiebreaker now with the Irish team of Michael Gregan and Robbie McCarthy. We'll keep you updated on that match when we can. This timeout is extended well beyond 1 minute, and we're into the 3rd minute. Mark Shovlin looks like me when I'm shoveling snow in the winter. Really getting in there. Looks like he's pushing the dampness into the side wall. I'm not sure I really understand what he's doing. He's giving these players an extended break, that's for sure. You don't think of the outdoor conditions having any effect on the indoor four-wall game, but it certainly can happen. You have some humidity and some dampness here in the Southern California area, and it's created a little bit of a problem inside the court. California known for being so sunny and warm, but it's been anything but that during the week of this championship. Silveyra with a nice kill there.
7-4.
Score is 7-4. Munoz Chavez slides that ball down the right wall and just skips that back wall setup. Just received the update that the Irish team of Michael Gregan and Robbie McCarthy did beat the team from Chicago, Illinois, Dane Statkowski and Bill Mihilos in an 11-5 tiebreaker. So the Irish await the winner of this match. You would think it would be Munoz Chavez and Vince Munoz. They've won the first game. They've also won the only 3 U.S. Open doubles championships that have ever been held. There were 3 Irish teams entered here, and there's 3 Irish teams still remaining.
7-4.
Tomorrow it'll be Duxie Walsh and partner Tom Sheridan facing Owen the Monument Kennedy and Desi Keegan. That'll be in the bottom bracket semifinal. The top bracket semifinal will be the winner of this match, taking on Michael Gregan and Robbie McCarthy. If you like doubles, this is the place to be. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow.
8-4.
Also be showcasing the top men in the semifinal action as well as the top women. Megan Mihilos advancing today. She's seeded number 2. Aisling Riley from Ireland seeded number 1, the current USHA 4-wall national champion. They appear to be on a collision course, but Courtney Pashot and Samantha England have something to say about that. Courtney will face Ashling Riley tomorrow, and Samantha England will face her good friend Megan Michilos. But right here, it's Vince Munoz and Marcos Chavez leading 10-4 here in the second game. They won the first game, and now they appear to be on their way to a pretty easy second game win. You see Team Eddie actually switching sides now. It's Eddie Silveyra on the left. Eddie Silveyra just flailing at that ball with his left hand. And Marcos overwhelms Eddie Silveyra with a powerful drive right at his feet. Listen in for the call.
13-4.
That was a point. We lost track of that ball in the back left corner. Wasn't sure if there might have been a slide there. Now Marcos really in his groove. An overhand, sort of a windmill
14-4.
left punch kill. You're seeing Team Eddie a little bit weary here. A little bit tired. These balls that were routine kills in the first game are now way up. And it's Marcos Chavez with sort of a fadeaway left-handed kill. Just a beautiful shot to watch there. Marcos.
That's your second timeout.
Almost as though he's using the fake out, falls back, and it's a beautiful kill there. Cross court, right down the middle of the court, about 2 inches high. This match is turning out just about how we would have expected. Pretty close first half of the first game, and since then it's been all team Munoz and Chavez. See these guys constantly talking, communicating what their upcoming strategy will be.
Okay, 15-4.
You heard the score from our referee. It's 15-4. Marcos lets that ball go. You could see that great shot of Marcos Chavez moving forward to hit that left corner paddle kill with his right hand, and he hit it perfectly.
16-4.
Big hop on that serve from Marcos. And now it's really become junk time for Marcos up in that front court. Vince Munoz with a tomahawk fist. A lot of power on that shot. And surprisingly, Marcos has a setup there with his left hand at the short line and skips it.
4-16. Short ball. Second serve.
We're already looking forward to tomorrow's matchup. Michael Gregan and Robbie McCarthy will take on what appears to be Marcos Chavez and Vince Munoz. The Irish team of Gregan and McCarthy, a tremendous mix of power and shot making and speed and athleticism. Robbie McCarthy, one of the great ball strikers in the game, just a young guy from Ireland with incredible power. Reminds people a lot of a young Anton Wilson. Michael Gregan, one of the quickest players in the game right now. In fact, Dave Chapman saying that he was the quickest guy he's ever played when they faced off in Portland last year. The quick and athletic Irish will face the experience of the Southern California Dream Team. Vince Munoz and
16-5.
and Munoz Chavez. That's a ball that I think you would have seen Eddie Silveyra diving for in the first game. He just lets that ball go. I think the writing is pretty much on the wall here. We'll have the top seed advancing to the final, to the semifinal, excuse me. We've already seen the second seeded team of Duxie Walsh and Tom Sheridan hold off a valiant upset attempt by John Bike and Chris Watkins. They're in the semifinals, as are the third seeded Owen Kennedy and Desi Keegan. There's a good fist drive pass from Munoz Chavez down the right side wall. Nice hands there from Munoz. It's a case of the legs not cooperating with what the mind wants it to do right now for Team Eddie.
19-5.
The engines have been started for Team Eddie. The car is being warmed up, and it's just a matter of
match point, serve 5.
How quickly they'll be in those cars on their way back to their Southern California homes. Unlike most doubles events, though, and most events in general, these guys will play off for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place. So their work is not done.
Match point, serves 5.
Score is 20-5. Match point, second server for Munoz Chavez, and here's a setup. Munoz does not adjust to that ball off the right side wall.
5-20.
Now this is sort of about making it respectable for the
5-20.
For the box score for Team Eddie. They'd like to add a few points here to and a nice shot there from Munoz. Eddie nowhere near that ball, and that ball was about 6 inches high. Vince plays the smart shot there as that ball came into the sidewall. Great off-balance fist in the ceiling there from Vince Munoz. Vince goes for that tomahawk kill from the deep court. That's a shot that he's used effectively throughout his career. That ball didn't stay down. Eddie Chapa with consecutive kills now. Munoz returning that crack serve with a backhanded fist, and Eddie Chapa takes care of it. And there's 4 consecutive rallies won on Eddie Chapa kills or aces. That ball hitting Eddie Chapa's partner, Eddie Silveyra. And another ace, and this is the respectability factor that really you're going for when you're trailing 5-20. Handball fans see the box score of this, they'll say, well, 21-12, 21-9, you know, that's not bad, respectable. Now it's 2 serves for Vince Munoz and Munoz Chavez to score 1 point. Not a good serve there from Vince. High risk kill there from Eddie Silveyra, and he gets it. Vince and Munoz have to be just shaking their head. Led 20-5. Munoz with an easy setup to end the match and just was very lazy with his feet. Now they find themselves receiving serve at 9:20. They'd like to be in the showers already. Team Eddie's bus is still warming up. The engine's still purring, but might have to wait just a little bit. There's an error from Eddie Silveyra on a relatively easy re-kill opportunity. There's a great drive there from Vince Munoz with a nice reverse on it. They quickly take Team Eddie out of the server's box. Great play there from Eddie Chapa. You see Vince hit the deck there. He wants this match to be over with. This will be the 4th serve for the match. And that's the last opportunity they needed, as the defending champions Vince Munoz and Munoz Chavez defeat Team Eddie Silveyra and Eddie Chapa, 21-12, 21-9. Vince Munoz and Munoz Chavez will take on the Irish team of Michael Gregan and Robbie McCarthy tomorrow. They advance to the semifinals with an 11-5 tiebreaker win over Dane Statkowski and Bill Mihalos. So for David Fink, Dave Vincent, Jeff Kastner, and the rest of the WPH, we'd like to say goodbye, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning, 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. We'll be watching the women's semifinal action. Until then,